The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the windows of Sterling's restaurant as Alicia Williams wiped down tables with practiced efficiency. Her black uniform was spotless, her smile genuine despite the exhaustion weighing on her shoulders. She had been working double shifts for months, sending most of her earnings home to help pay for her mother's medical treatments. As she turned toward the kitchen, a figure caught her attention. An elderly man sat alone in the corner booth, his weathered hands folded on the table. His clothes were torn and dirty, his gray beard unkempt, and his worn boots barely held together with tape. The other servers had walked past him multiple times, their gazes deliberately averted. Alicia's heart clenched. She had seen that look before, the quiet desperation of someone who had nowhere else to go. Without hesitation, she approached his table with a warm smile. "Good afternoon, sir. Can I get you something to drink? Maybe a cup of coffee?" The man's tired eyes met hers, surprise flickering across his weathered face. I don't have much money," he admitted softly, his voice barely audible above the restaurant's bustling atmosphere. "Don't worry about that," Alicia whispered, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. "Everyone deserves a hot cup of coffee on a day like this." She poured the steaming liquid into a clean mug and set it before him, along with cream and sugar packets. The man's hands trembled slightly as he wrapped his fingers around the warm ceramic. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You're very kind." Alicia noticed his genuine gratitude, the way his entire demeanor softened with that simple gesture of humanity. She quickly brought him a small plate with crackers and a bowl of soup, telling him it was on the house. As she walked away, she missed the calculating look that crossed his features, not of cunning, but of someone taking careful note of the rare compassion he had just witnessed. Karen Mitchell's sharp heels clicked against the polished floor as she stormed across the dining room, her face twisted with fury. The assistant manager had built her reputation on strict adherence to company policy, and she ruled the restaurant with an iron fist that brooked no exceptions. "Alicia," her voice cut through the ambient chatter like a blade. "What do you think you're doing?" Alicia turned, the coffee pot still in her hand, her smile fading as she saw Karen's thunderous expression. "I was just helping a customer, ma'am." "Helping?" Karen's voice rose, causing nearby diners to look up from their meals. "You call giving away free food and drinks helping? This is a business, not a charity." She gestured angrily toward the elderly man, who sat quietly observing the confrontation with those alert, intelligent eyes. "Ma'am," he looked hungry and thirsty. You thought wrong," Karen interrupted, her clipboard clutched so tightly her knuckles had turned white. "Look at him. Look at those rags he's wearing. Do you think our paying customers want to eat next to someone like that?" The restaurant had fallen silent now, all eyes on the unfolding drama. Alicia felt heat rise to her cheeks as shame washed over her. "He's still a human being," she said quietly, her voice trembling with conviction. "Everyone deserves basic dignity." Karen's laugh was cold and bitter. "Dignity doesn't pay your salary, Alicia. Following orders does. And you've been warned before about your bleeding heart attitude. Taking too long with customers, chatting when you should be working, and now this, stealing from the company." "I wasn't stealing," Alicia protested, tears forming in her eyes. "I was being kind. Kindness is a luxury we can't afford," Karen snapped. "This is the final straw. You're fired. Turn in your apron and get out." The words hit Alicia like a physical blow, and she stumbled backward, one hand pressed to her chest as if to hold her breaking heart together. The silence that followed Karen's pronouncement was deafening. Alicia stood frozen, the full weight of her situation crashing down upon her like an avalanche. Her job wasn't just her livelihood, it was her mother's lifeline. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please don't do this. I work double shifts. I send money home for my mother's medication. If you fire me—" Her words trailed off as tears began streaming down her face. Karen's expression remained stone cold. "Everyone has a sob story, Alicia. The owners don't care about your personal problems. They care about profit, professionalism, and protecting our reputation. You've violated company policy, and there are consequences." The elderly man in the corner booth shifted slightly, his weathered hands tightening into fists on the table. His jaw clenched as he watched the cruel spectacle unfolding before him, but he remained silent, his sharp eyes missing nothing. "I'll work without breaks," Alicia pleaded desperately. "I'll take a pay cut. I'll do anything. Just please give me another chance." She dropped to her knees, clutching at Karen's sleeve like a drowning woman grasping for a rope. Karen jerked her arm away with disgust. "Pathetic. You think groveling makes you look professional? You've humiliated yourself and this establishment in front of our customers." She pointed toward the corner booth with contempt. "That man represents everything we don't want in here. Poverty, desperation, failure. And you enabled him." Alicia turned to look at the elderly man one final time. Their eyes met across the restaurant, and she saw something unexpected in his gaze. Not shame or defeat, but a quiet strength that seemed to burn like embers in the darkness. For just a moment, she felt as though he was trying to tell her something important, but the connection was broken when Karen grabbed her shoulder. "Get out of that uniform and leave," Karen commanded. "Security will escort you if necessary." As Alicia stumbled toward the staff room to collect her belongings, she felt her entire world collapsing around her, never knowing that the man she had shown kindness to was about to change everything. The morning sun painted Sterling's restaurant in golden hues as the staff prepared for another busy day. But today felt different. Whispers circulated among the servers and kitchen staff, a nervous energy crackling through the air like electricity before a storm. The same elderly man from yesterday had returned, but the transformation was so complete that several employees didn't recognize him at first. Gone were the tattered clothes and worn boots. In their place stood a distinguished gentleman in an impeccably tailored navy suit, Italian leather shoes polished to a mirror shine, and a gold Rolex that caught the light with every gesture. His silver beard was now neatly trimmed, framing a face that radiated quiet authority and unmistakable power. Alicia had come to collect her final paycheck, her heart heavy with the weight of her uncertain future. When she walked through the front door and saw him standing there addressing the assembled staff, her breath caught in her throat. This couldn't be the same man, could it? "Good morning, everyone." His voice commanded attention, rich and resonant with the confidence of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "Before we open for business today, I need to address what happened yesterday. My name is Charles Robinson, and I am the owner of this restaurant chain." The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Forks clattered to the floor. Someone gasped audibly. Karen, who had been checking her clipboard with smug satisfaction, went pale as snow, her confident posture crumbling like a house of cards. Charles's penetrating gaze swept across the room until it found Alicia, and his expression softened with genuine warmth. "Miss Williams, I owe you a profound apology." Alicia could barely process what was happening. "Sir, yesterday I came here in disguise," Charles continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the restaurant. "I wanted to see how my employees treated people who couldn't benefit them in return. I wanted to witness the character of my staff when they thought no one important was watching." The silence was suffocating as the full implications of his words sank in. Charles Robinson stepped forward, his presence filling the room with an authority that made everyone stand a little straighter. "What I witnessed yesterday was both heartbreaking and enlightening. One person in this entire establishment saw a human being in need and responded with compassion. The rest of you saw someone you deemed unworthy of basic human decency." His gaze found Karen, who stood frozen like a deer in headlights. "Ms. Mitchell, you didn't just fire a good employee yesterday. You revealed who you really are. You humiliated someone for showing kindness, turned a moment of humanity into a public spectacle, and demonstrated the very worst of what leadership can become." Karen's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, her clipboard trembling in her hands. "Sir, I was protecting the restaurant's image, following company policy." "Whose policy?" Charles's voice cut through her excuse like a sword. "I never created a policy that forbids basic human kindness. You created that rule yourself, and you enforced it with cruelty." He turned back to Alicia, whose tears were now flowing freely. "Miss Williams, you saw someone who was thirsty, and you gave him water. You saw someone who was hungry, and you shared food. You treated me with the dignity that every human being deserves, regardless of their appearance or apparent station in life. The restaurant had begun to fill with early customers, and many had stopped to listen to the extraordinary scene unfolding before them. Charles raised his voice to address them all. This young woman lost her job yesterday for being kind. Today, I'm offering her a new position as floor supervisor, with full benefits and a salary increase of 50%. The applause started slowly, then built to a thunderous crescendo as customers and staff alike recognized the justice of the moment. Alicia covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed by the sudden reversal of her fortunes. As for you, Miss Mitchell, Charles's voice turned cold again. You're terminated immediately. Clear out your office. Karen's face flushed red with anger and humiliation. You can't do this. I've managed this place for 3 years. And in those 3 years, you've forgotten what hospitality means, Charles replied firmly. This business is built on serving people, not judging them. As Karen stormed out, Charles placed a gentle hand on Alicia's shoulder. Sometimes we must lose everything to discover what truly matters. Yesterday you lost a job. Today, you've gained a future built on the foundation of your own good heart. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.